What's up, everyone? Today I just want to make a really simple video showing how you can read values from the registry with C#. The goal is to show how you can do a basic registry read in Windows, and then also I'm going to export the data to a CSV file. There's going to have an inconsistent number of columns. I just want to process that, so I had to play around with Python to get that to work. So let's do it. So first, I'm just going to go through the code I already made. So I have this program.cs file here, and it's a C# program. And it's pretty simple. I just want to find registry keys which have the SLD in them. And that's for SolidWorks, because I do SolidWorks. And I want to search through all the keys in the registry using that. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to open all the sub keys as well. So we have this function that's called search registry keys, and it's called recursively as it finds new keys. So here you can see we're passing in a key, then I get the sub key names, and then for each sub key name we can then search again potentially. At the same time up here, if the key name has our search term, then we're going to add it to our results, and our results object is simply just a key value pair list that's described here. So it's going to let us search through the registry. Maybe something to note is that a lot of the registry values are not allowed to read unless you're an administrator. So we put in this try catch, and it's just going to say there's some error, probably it's going to tell you which subkey that is. Finally, after this guy finishes running through, I'm going to do write results to CSV. It's a pretty straightforward function here. I'm just going to open a stream writer to a particular CSV path. Then I'm going to give a header column, and then for each key value pair, I'm going to write the key and the value. So in order to compile this guy, I'm going to use the .NET framework. So I can do .NET build or .NET run, or I can do this guy. So let me show you my CS project file. This is what it looks like. Pretty straightforward. And this just tells the compiler what it should be doing. I'm targeting .NET 7.0. So if I go back to my README, I'm going to copy this guy and paste it down here. I should compile and run it. You can see that it's telling me I don't have it. Requested registry access is not allowed for this particular key. Maybe not surprising when you look at what they are. So now it says it's finished. So let's take a look at the results. If I come here to my output.csv, you can see this key value at the top. Then I have my actual key, comma, value. So here there's no value. A lot of them, they do have values. Interestingly though, this is what we're going to look at in just a minute, lines like this are going to cause some problems. There's actually 3 commas, which makes it so if I want to read in the data to a CSV reader like pandas, that can cause a bit of a challenge. So let's jump into that now. So if I go back and I want to maybe do some machine learning or some type of textual analysis on the registry values, then my default instinct would be to try something real quick in pandas. Just read it in. So when I do that, can VS Code, you can see, look at pandas. Next, I'm going to check if that file actually exists. Oh, it's saying that it doesn't exist, which is interesting. I have to see what's up with that. Oh, and the problem is it changed it. Okay, so I'm going to change the location of this guy. It's actually in my same folder as this code. Okay, so now it says the file exists, which is good. If I go and I try to read in my file super simply like this, you can see I'm using Copilot there. It's pretty helpful. You can see error tokenizing data is C error expected to field in line 10, that's all 3. So if we go back to our output.csv, we're going to go to line 10, This is the one that I looked at before. So there's a comma here, and if I go to the end, you can see there's also a comma right there, and that's what's creating the problem. So then I was kind of curious how I could solve that, and one way is to use the CSV module. So CSV module is super simple. You could easily write this yourself. I'm just going to open the file, read the CSV file itself, and then loop over the rows. You could easily do a parsing of each row one by one to do the same thing. Each of these is going to end up being a list right here. So here I take each list, I append it to a list itself. Then, in order to make this into a valid pandas data frame, I'm going to find out what's the maximum number of items in each of these sublists. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm saying go through all the rows, call each row A, and find the length, where that's going to be our list. Then once I do that, I'm going to have a giant list of the lengths of every row. Then I'm going to call max on that, and just say, hey, this is the number of columns I got. I'll print this out and say how many values or how many columns I may have. So you can see the max number of columns is 5. It's interesting. It's a lot more than the 2 that I was kind of expecting. Then to kind of make it more to standardize the rows themselves, I'm going to make this new list of lists called new rows and say form a row in my existing rows, get the row plus add these items, which is just blanks, based on the number of columns, will be 5, minus the length of this guy. So if I have 2, then if there's only 2 items in this row, then it's going to add 3 more additional items to this new row, and I'm going to append it. So that's going to standardize all my rows that have 5. Finally, I'll make my data frame. So you can make a data frame based on a list of lists. Yeah, maybe one comment is that the first row will be the headers that we actually want. So here I'm just going to use the I location, the index location, say, hey, get the first row, make that your column names, which is what's going on right here. Then chop out that first item using with this line code right here. So when I do that, I didn't get any errors, which is good. So then if I take a look at my data, this is what I get. So if I do df.columns, you can see I get a key value blank blank blank, which is basically what I expected. So now if I wanted to do some machine learning on this df, this is one way I could do it in this data frame. Although there's probably a better way to do it. This was a relatively straightforward approach for me. That helped me learn something in the process, so I thought I'd share with you. So just to recap, like what did we actually do here? I showed how we can read the registry using C#. The reason why C# might be interesting is you can compile it unlike Python, or you can do some stuff with Python, but generally it's easier for a compiled language to make an executable, which might be easier to deploy on a machine. Then I showed how you can read the file using Python in order to maybe do some like text analytics on registry keys, or if you're looking for something in particular, processing stuff in Python is pretty easy. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a good one.